Metroid Prime 4. Wow, everyone's been waiting so long for Metroid Prime 4. There's always been so many rumors. People thought it was dead, people thought it was alive, and then it was dead again. And now here we are, with it coming out next month, so soon. I'm at a loss. I feel overwhelmed. I need help. So, I have brought with me a Metroid expert. This, my friends and family, is Mr. Precision. Say hi, Mr. Precision.
Hello.
Now, Mr. Precision, can I call you Mr. 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 P? You
You,
you are someone.
Precision's good.
Precision is so you're a bit of a Metroid head, like a kind of like a you were in the mines, back in the day. Is that correct?
Yeah, you could say that. I'll say if you were born anytime in the year 2000 and onwards, I played Metroid before you were born. Let's just say that.
I mean, that's a good start. So, why don't we just start by tell me a little bit about your, I guess, interest in the series, like where the love started, because we need to get your credentials, because I'm going to be asking you some questions about Metroid to kind of ease people into it who might be unfamiliar, and they're not going to believe anything that comes out of your mouth if you don't give them the like tea, the receipts, like what's going on, when did you like what do you love about Metroid?
Okay, so I guess we should start with, how I even got to liking Metroid in the first place. So, I guess my first experience with it is with, our extended family, our cousins would play Super Metroid all the time while we were there, and it was it was kind of interesting because it was we would play like a lot of like the old Nintendo games, and a lot of them were like all bright and colorful and cheerful and all that stuff, and then there was Super Metroid, which was like very different in terms of like the
The
atmosphere
tone.
and the tone, like how it plays. Like it was like nothing like I ever saw at the time.
No Mario,
It wasn't any Mario, it wasn't Kirby or anything like that. It was, yeah. And so I was intrigued by that, and I guess as I continued playing, like at first I didn't get it because it's not like a straightforward platformer like a Mario or anything like that. Like you actually had to, go in another direction besides just right all the time.
You have to turn left and turn
Sometimes you
around.
had to go left, sometimes you had to go up or down. Like you had to, it was like, and you had to explore. You had to, and not only that, you had to like when you get more power ups, you had to learn like they're not just like weapons you're getting like to like kill more enemies. They're also like exploration tools. You use them to unlock new areas, and I don't like I distinctly remember like the first time I was playing the game the Super Metroid by myself. I got to the part where I got the bombs. And then after that, you know, I had no idea where to go after that.
You
But
were
then I
stuck.
remembered, yeah, I was stuck. It's like, where do I go? There's no like obvious, like doors to get into or anything like that. Then I remembered like there was this one area like off to the left that kind of looked like something might have been there, but it was just like a wall. And so I just decided to just plant bombs there, and I just saw like the wall, the blocks just blew up, and I found like this whole new area that would take, if you've played the game before, it would take you to like the green area of Brinstar, and that was just amazing to me. I don't know,
Really
it
opened your
definitely left a
eyes,
mark on my little kid brain, and I was like, oh, this is the stuff.
Well, yeah, I mean, because it almost plays with your expectations a little bit. I think when you're used to a certain type of game, and suddenly you're in a game that kind of offers you more, or like makes you kind of think. You have to use your brain to do things
Yeah,
and remember
exactly.
things. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
because remember, like at the time, like it was the games that I was playing was like, we had like Super Mario Brothers Deluxe on like GameCube, the Game Boy Color, and we had I don't know, some Bugs Bunny game.
Oh,
You
Crazy Castle 3.
Yeah, that's the one. Oh my gosh,
I fucking hate that game.
that game sucks.
It does.
But
It sucks so much.
but you know, like the like those were the games that I was used to playing. You know,
So this was like totally like actually an actual.
like oh gosh, this is
This is a video game.
this is an actual video. No, I mean Super Mario Brothers, of course, is a great game too, and you know,
But what about
I'm
Crazy Castle 3?
oh, I mean that's when I learned that games can be bad.
Do you want to know what game did it for me? The dinosaur
What?
game for the Game Boy that we had. Do you remember
I
that?
remember that one too. No, I remember that one.
That was
It
sucks
was
too.
it was so yeah. I mean, we had a lot another like movie tie-in game, Mask of Zorro,
Yes, we
the
did.
game.
Oh my god. So with Metroid Prime, because Metroid Prime was like the GameCube years plus the Wii one. Uh,
Yeah.
it was kind of, I mean, it was by a new studio. Even it was a whole new venture for Samus because Shigeru Miyamoto didn't give a crap. It was like whatever, I guess.
Yeah, that was yeah.
Do whatever, I guess. Retro, right? Um,
Yeah, Retro Studios. Yeah.
so when you played the Prime games, like, what do you like about those games?
Yeah, so that is a very interesting time for Metroid, I would say, because yeah, you would say like at the time the peak was, the Super Nintendo era, like Super Metroid, and Metroid for like the Nintendo 64 era just went off the map for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Like, I don't know if they just didn't know how to translate a Metroid game to the 3D at that time or not. And I guess that's probably the reason why they just decided to give it to Retro to make them give it a shot, because
Yeah. Why
Lord
not?
knows they didn't know. Yeah, why not?
Well, I always think of, have you ever seen that recording of like the GameCube E3 like announcement where they show the Super Smash Bros. Melee trailer, and it's like the actual
Yeah.
like crowd's reaction, and I always get a big smile on my face because when it shows the part in the trailer or like the opening cutscene where like Samus is there, the crowd like goes nuts because I think they just assumed she was dead. Like I think they just assumed
Yeah.
they would never see her again.
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah, it's like, oh my gosh, it's Samus, and she's like in 3D. It's like, wow, they remembered that series.
So Prime comes out,
But
and a Prime to me, vibe wise, it's a little bit more modern than those like Super Nintendo games, obviously, but it's still very like isolationist. I feel like it's very like eerie in moments. There's a lot of reading in Prime, which I think a lot of people who haven't played Prime don't know about, like the scanning, which is a huge thing.
Oh yeah.
So
Oh yeah, we can
go into
definitely
that. Let's talk about scanning.
So, I mean, not just scanning, but I guess Prime in general. So I think Prime, there were actually like two different things going on with Metroid at the time. There was Metroid Prime, which, was their first like foray into 3D and all that jazz. But they also, Metroid Fusion also came up at the same time.
Oh, okay.
So, what I think they were trying to go for is that Metroid Fusion, I don't know if you are aware, kind of took the series kind of in another different direction. Kind of like they try to definitely put in more like story elements to the game, like where Samus would monologue when she would always like go to a computer and they would tell her where to go and all that stuff, make it kind of like a more linear type game.
Okay.
And a lot of people didn't really know what to think about it at that time, but I would say as of now, like I think a lot of people really appreciated what Fusion was going for, because at least they realized that it was trying to go for a different type of vibe than something like Super Metroid.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, I would say that Metroid Prime, I think, tried to emulate that feeling of isolation and like atmosphere, the similar atmosphere as Super Metroid. as a result. I think they wanted Fusion to be like the more story driven, something that furthers the story of Metroid. And then Metroid Prime was kind of like, they wanted it to take place in between like Metroid 1 and 2 so it doesn't really muck up the story as much. But and then just, try to capture that, basically be like almost like a 3D Super Metroid in a sense. I think that's what a lot of people kind of got out of Metroid Prime, and probably why a lot of people really like Metroid Prime, because a lot of the elements reminded them of kind of that openness and that like feeling of loneliness that they got from Super Metroid. In addition, they also implemented, something like the scan visor. I guess we can go to the scan
Yes,
visor.
the scan visor.
I I love the scan visor, by the way, because for the most part, Metroid Prime tries to, do a lot of showing and not telling in terms of like how you go about your like where you need to go and
Your
all that stuff.
objectives. They don't just tell.
Yeah,
They don't
your
put a big
objectives
quest
simply.
marker that's like, "Go here now, Samus."
Yeah, exactly. And so what they do then is, they kind of set up this huge, like, I guess, mystery behind, like, the planet that you're on, like, what happened to this place, like, because you also realize that the Chozo also lived in this planet too, and you're wondering what happened to them here.
Yeah.
And, you know, you got all these bits and pieces, like, adding to the overall story while not like forcing it into the game itself
It's not
all the
like
time.
interrupting the game flow. Like if you want to sit there and scan every object in the room and like read the lore and like the story or the background stuff, you can do that. Or you can just like scan what interests you and kind of pick up the pieces, and you can still kind of go about your way without, the game stopping you and being like, "Ah, did you scan everything in the room, Samus? You sure you didn't miss anything, Samus? Go back and scan some more stuff." You want to.
Yeah, exactly. Also, kind of like another thing is like, because it's in like a first person perspective, it kind of like introduced a lot of people to, I guess, a different way of like seeing like what an FPS type game could be. Like it doesn't always have to be something like a Doom or a Halo or anything like that. It was a much more like deliberately paced type of first person game where the objective isn't really to like clear out a room full of all of its enemies. It's just observing your surroundings, seeing where you need to go, if you can, like, I don't know, find a way to get to wherever you think is the next, I don't know, however the next big area, something like that.
Yeah. And there are a lot of enemies in the game, like the space
Oh yeah.
pirates and such, and of course the Metroids are back, which I think a lot of people love those little guys.
Oh yeah, they're the staple enemy for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and I would definitely say like, yeah, like the Prime games definitely weren't without its like more intense action segments, and like you mentioned, like the space pirates were probably like the closest you get to like having actual shootouts and like firefights that you would see in like any other traditional FPS. So yeah.
All right. Well, now that we've kind of gone over, I guess, what people really liked about Prime, do you remember any kind of like discourse back on GameFAQs days about the Prime series? I know that
God, GameFAQs mention.
I know that like Metroid Prime 3 was less well received than the other two. Do you think that it was fairly not well like was that a fair assessment for it to be not well received, or do you think it was like a nostalgia bias or just like people
So
resistance to change?
So I would even, at the time, I would even argue to say that Metroid Prime 2 also received kind of the same treatment as Prime 3, in that it was a bit too different from, the Prime 1 game. I don't know if you I a lot of things that I heard, the discourse that I heard back in the day was, I guess for Prime 2, they introduced like an actual ammo system for your beams,
Mm-hmm.
which wasn't the case for the first Prime. Like you had your four beam types and they had infinite ammo, but in Prime 2, you had like your light beam and dark beam, and they each had their different ammo that you can run out of. People didn't like that because I guess this is where people start. I guess a lot of diehard Metroid fans wanted to didn't want the more FPS elements to creep into Metroid, which is probably why they didn't like something like an ammo system.
Yeah.
And I guess that can also apply to Metroid Prime 3, where I guess one of the biggest things they introduced in that game is definitely like the introduction of, more characters, because out in Prime 1, you barely interacted with any like thing that didn't want to just outright kill you.
You didn't
But
have
yeah.
you didn't have
You
conversations
didn't
with
have,
anybody.
yes, you didn't have conversations. They introduced that in Prime 2, where you basically have to save like the race of like moth people, and then in Prime 3, they kind of like show off a bunch of like these galactic, what they call Galactic Federation people.
And now,
I mean,
quick
it's a
pause. Is this the first time Galactic Federation is introduced, or have they kind of always been in the background of the story?
so so they have always been a thing since, I would say, arguably even the first Metroid. Like the title, like when you do the title screen in the first Metroid, and then if you keep it going, then you get like a little text scroll from like allegedly like Galactic Federation telling you your mission is to like,
Da da da
kill
da.
Mother Brain or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they were in the background again. Like you never saw them. And I would say you didn't really get to see have a huge presence until, I would say, like Prime 2. Like the reason why you go to the planet you go to in Prime 2 is to try to save a Galactic Federation outpost, and surprise surprise, they're all dead. Whatever. So even then, like, you didn't actually interact with them. Prime 3 is like the first Metroid game where you talk to like a bunch of these guys. Like you start the game like landing in like this Federation cruiser thing, and then you have to go through like this whole thing of like talking to a bunch of these guys, and then you got to go into like the commanding officer's room or whatever, and you talk even more with these guys. So I think that was like the big kind of like a departure from, what people were starting that people would expect from Metroid. They were so used to these games where you're just all alone in a planet and you're just trying to fight a bunch of like dangerous creatures just to, get through without really talking to anyone. And then all of a sudden we got all these people that Samus has to talk to. You get objectives from them. Like even when you turn off the hint system, you still have like the Aurora units that tell you like all the stuff you have to do. So
It's a little more
yeah,
involved.
you Samus is not alone in this universe anymore. I should say.
And then, of course, after this game was Other M.
Oh gosh, Other M, don't get me started.
We won't go too
So
much into that, I guess, but what did so those elements, that have kind of, I feel like it's kind of almost evolved, right? Retro was working on all of those games. It's not like it totally just completely went to a different studio.
yeah,
So it's genuinely stuff the developers like wanted to try and like thought would help the story. But I guess it was too much too soon, or just like too different than what people really love about like the original Metroids.
I mean, I think at this point, like they were already introducing this like element, retro studios already. So I think when Prime 3 came out, it wasn't super as big of a shock as people might think now. Like
Yeah.
we we were already introduced to, the Galactic Federation. They've been a thing for a long time. If you were a hardcore Metroid fan, you already knew they existed. And so I would say, if anything, their involvement in these later Prime games to them might have been like, oh, that's kind of a neat thing. We actually get to see them now.
Yeah.
Um, and I think this same thing with Prime 3. I think the thing that people probably didn't like about the introduction of these things is more of the fact that they didn't like that Metroid was probably turning into more of a linear adventure, as opposed to like the more open-ended styles that you would see in probably like Prime 1 or like Super Metroid back in the day. Like that was probably the main element that people were concerned about.
Yeah, and I
And
can
not
imagine if it's something you like, a series that you really liked, and there was certain things you really liked about, the vibe. It shifting would make anyone uncomfortable or kind of be like, well, I gotta be honest, I just don't enjoy it as much, and I feel like that's fair, right? Like, as long as they're not being a
yeah,
dickhead about it, it's fine.
yeah, I know. I mean, unfortunately there was a lot of, headstrong comments made even back then, where people, and I mean, let's be real. I know we're probably gonna go into like the Prime 4 stuff later, but
Yes.
I just want to say right up top, Metroid, the fan base, the discussions, these are nothing new. The fans have always had issues with new elements being introduced in with these games for a very long time. Um,
I feel like they're very into like doom posting about everything Metroid.
oh my gosh, yeah, like honestly, yeah. I mean, I didn't have the word for that back then, but yeah, it did really seem like, every like supposed misstep that the newest Metroid game would make would be like, oh, we're just one step closer to just being another irrelevant franchise that Nintendo doesn't care about anymore
Another
because they don't.
F-Zero.
Yeah, we're just one bad game away from being F-Zero.
Star
Nope,
Fox.
Nintendo didn't care about, what makes a Metroid game a true Metroid game, all that stuff. That stuff was happening for a long time, for as long as I can remember.
That's really crazy to think about, because I feel like it's like you just really got to take some people and shake them. Like, no, people have always been complaining about this shit. People
Yeah,
love
yeah,
to complain on the internet. It's their favorite
oh
thing.
yeah, if you yeah, on the message boards, oh, that was like, you feel like you would know the people too, because you would see their username all the time. It's like, oh, there goes this topic again. Oh, let's see who made it. Oh, figured it's the same dude who makes the same complaints every time. Like that's how it was
You see
every
a new
time.
message board. It's freaking
And,
Silex Hater 69. He's like, I can't believe they added other humans in Metroid.
I, I can't believe. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Metroid Prime 3 came out in 2007. Don't that make you feel
Oh my!
old?
I remember when it came out. I remember being so excited for that game. I remember the Game Facts discourse on that game too.
So that was a whole 18 years ago. So we are entering a new era here. Now, Prime 4's development has been, I want to say, odd. Um, and
You're telling me.
I have a theory. So, Metroid Prime 4, when was that initial JPEG they showed us when they were like, Metroid Prime 4 is happening? It was in the
I
Switch
think
years, wasn't it?
yeah, it was like the same year the Switch came out, like E3 2017.
Yeah, so yeah, that first initial, literally it was a JPEG. It was a JPEG of like Metroid Prime 4 with some like
Yes.
shiny effects on it. Like, it's happening. And I remember everyone like going absolutely nuts. Like, people were like screaming in the Nintendo store, and it was like a huge thing because obviously it'd been a long time since the series first came out. And I don't even think, did they give like a rough year, or did they not even do that? Like, they just said it's
Didn't
happening.
even bother. They
Yeah.
just told you, oh, here's Prime 4.
and I think it was like still like deep in development hell at that point that they said it was happening. Because
Yes.
that game, from what we have been told, because not a lot has come out about it. I'm sure there's a lot of people under NDAs, but eventually, like it was a while later, they very like quietly and shyly were like, "Hey, this game sucks. we, we
Yeah.
we hate everything
Oh
about
yeah.
this, and we are going to throw it away. We are going to go to another studio, and we're gonna start over."
Yep. I mean, so allegedly it was originally gonna be made by like Bandai Namco, I
Interesting.
think.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that's
I
what I
think
remember
they were
hearing.
initially in charge of making the game, which was a very interesting choice. But nonetheless, yeah, so we knew that they basically restarted development and basically kicked them to the curb when they announced that on 2019.
So that
Oh,
was, oh my gosh, that was like 2 years later.
that was 2 years later, after like no news, no other news about it at all. Basically saying we have started over. That was,
The like 99-year-old Metroid Prime fan was like crying in his retirement home. He's not gonna live to see the
yeah, I
next one.
know. He's not gonna live.
Which was
Like, oh,
my little brain theory about this is, I feel like ever since this game, where they announced it and they had to cancel it 2 years later and basically re-announce it, I feel like ever since then, Nintendo's like announcement to release has been so small on
oh
purpose,
yeah, I have noticed that. Yes,
because
I think they learned
their
their
lesson.
lesson from
They
this.
never, if that game is not coming out within a year, they will not tell you jack about it. Because now, like after that, it was like, hey, the Thousand Year Door remake, it's coming out in 4 months. It's like, what the
Yeah, that's
heck?
what. Like, well, where are all these games coming from? Yeah, no, I noticed that too. Like, that's why, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if, they, whenever they do their next Nintendo Direct, whatever, we're just gonna hear like, we might hear a bombshell game, and it's gonna come out in like 6 months or something. Like, I feel like that's just what they do now because they do not want another Prime 4 situation ever again.
Yeah, because that was so unprecedented, and it had to be so embarrassing for them, because
Yeah.
that's just not something Nintendo does, and I don't think Nintendo ever really like cancels games. And I guess you do have to feel kind of good that Nintendo saw that product and thought, this is not good enough for Metroid, and it met a franchise which frankly they don't seem to care about much at all.
Yeah, they don't, yeah, they definitely don't show that. But, I would say, like, I think it just based on what how they're treating, this Prime 4 game, like, keep in mind, as much as, I've said about how much people complained about, Prime 3 or maybe a little bit of Prime 2, those are still critically acclaimed games that a lot of people, really like. And I think, Nintendo realizes that even if Metroid doesn't usually sell a lot of copies, like, they are barely like critical darlings in a way. These games that, can appeal to, kind of like the more hardcore audience that like these types of games.
And I think they're definitely needing that. I think Metroid Dread was the most recent Metroid game, right? That was a
Yes.
Switch game, and that one was more of a how would you? I mean, it's more of a traditional, I guess, Metroid game with like almost some like horror elements in it.
Yeah,
Honestly,
I mean, honestly, it almost feels like, a progression of Fusion, if
yeah.
I would say, because, Fusion had like the SAX chase scenes where some like indestructible creature chases you down and all you can do is just run away. And that's basically what the Emmys are, but like ramped up to, 11.
Yeah. So that one, and that one was well received. Like people liked that one. Now it's not the same playstyle or anything that the Metroid Primes were, but I think it gave Nintendo some confidence that like Metroid can sell. I mean, I think it did fairly well. I don't think it was like, a Mario
I
Odyssey or
mean,
anything, but I think it
oh
did
no, it's
well.
never gonna sell as good as like a Mario game, but
Yeah.
I think it might be one of, if not the highest selling Metroid game
Yeah, and I
as of
think
now.
they're treating Metroid Prime 4 now. So now we have seen, fairly recently, seen actual gameplay footage, have seen, some cutscene kind of looking stuff, and have seen some new amiibos. We've seen
Oh boy.
Samus on a bike. I mean, we've seen some stuff like that. So we have seen a lot now. So I definitely want to pick your brain about what we have seen. I am going to hit you with a bombshell to start because it's a hot topic and I gotta, and you already know it's coming. So I'm gonna send you a
Yeah.
picture,
Okay,
and I
let
want
me.
to know your opinion on the most hated character in gaming as of right
Oh,
now,
yeah.
Miles. What?
Miles, yes. Look at him.
He's beautiful.
Look at that goofy little man right there.
So, for those not
Oh
in the
yes.
know, I think it was some like journalists got review copies or were able to like play a portion of the game. I believe like the start of the game maybe. And one of the common factors in most people's reviews is they're saying, it's beautiful, the music's great, like vibes are there, but there is a extremely chummy and talkative character, possibly a tutorial character even, named Miles, who is this nerdy dude with glasses who they say talks too much, and now everyone is saying Metroid Prime 4 canceled, everyone. We gotta pack it up and go home. The
Yep.
hype train has got
Party's over.
off the rails. So, have you seen any of this like footage or like read any of these articles?
So I've read a couple articles about their impressions, and I think I've seen a few videos about this particular fellow
Dear Miles.
here.
Sweet Miles.
Yes, dear Miles, dear sweet Miles, and yeah, like I don't know. I understand if you're not really a fan of the awkward, like nerdy science guy.
Yeah.
I get that. Like, and maybe you don't think it belongs in something like Metroid. And that's fair too. But I don't know. I'm just a bit confused by like how much headspace this guy occupies in on everybody's mind, because every every like I read a few of the articles, and almost all of them were like, yeah, the gameplay's great, it looks absolutely stunning, it runs amazing, it feels great to be Samus and exploring this lush jungle environment and all that stuff, but this freaking guy, this almost every single one of them does something like that. And I mean, even some of them even go far as to say, like, this guy could ruin the whole game if Retro's not careful. Retro, you better
You better reel him
better
in.
not like better reel this guy in, or I'll
Game's like 2
be
weeks out
really
from
upset.
shipment. Like, what are they gonna do?
I know. It's like, what are they gonna do?
Do you
What are they gonna
do
do?
you
He's
think
already.
they're panicking? Like, totally just like, shit, we gotta kill Miles right now! Get the voice
We gotta
actor
make
back in!
Silex kill him right now.
Well, my perspective of this as like a casual Metroid fan and enjoyer is that I totally, like I said, like you said, I totally get it. Like, it sounds so annoying. I really hate a lot of modern video games now just will not shut up at you. Like, a lot of the times when you
Yeah.
start the game, they're like trying to do they're trying to do like a subtle tutorial, but it's not subtle. And I'm like, I'm not a child. Just drop me on the world. I'll figure it out. Like, you just tell me what buttons to press, and I'm good. I'm in. Unfortunately, one of my favorite games of all time right now, Pikmin 4, is so guilty of this. It takes like 20 minutes to get through the tutorial because there's so many characters talking to you. And in a way, actually, now that I'm saying this out loud, it is very similar to the discourse I'm hearing here. because Pikmin 1 especially is a very isolated game, like isolationist game. Like you're playing as Olimar, you basically don't talk to anybody. You are like just with the Pikmin. It's a very short cycle. You're on a planet and then you go home. In the second one, they start to add other characters. You know, you got Louis, you got the president, and so those are you see a little bit more human interaction. In the third game, there's 3 captains, and then they also add Louis and Olimar. So there's like 5 guys running around on the planet. And then in Pikmin 4, there's like 50 characters, and they're all doing stuff. So it is different. And a lot of people were very resistant to that with Pikmin. And, you know, say with that what you will, it's still a good game. Like, Pikmin 4 is an excellent game, and I think that I really enjoyed playing it despite the differences, and it also kind of retroactively made me appreciate those things from the originals. I don't know if I would have liked to just play the same game 4 times, you know? I think I would like to try some new stuff. You know, of course I don't want it to get rid of the core things that I really love about Pikmin, like the time management and the, you know, fighting the Bulborbs and stuff, and, you know, trying to manage those things, and, you know, it be like being difficult, because, you know, there's also discourse about the difficulty. But that's where I'm looking at it from like a Pikmin fan point of view, like the differences there.
No, that is very interesting. I had no idea that there was a similar thing going on in Pikmin.
No,
I have
absolutely.
not played Pikmin.
Well, I think it must be something with game trends, because you think of some of the most popular games for casual gamers even. You got your like Red Deads, right? Your Grand Theft Autos, you got Witcher, you got God of War, and all of those games have like companion characters in them. People you talk to frequently, a base you go back to where there's people there to talk to, and there's a lot of like more story or narrative elements in those games, and that's just what sells right now. People really like that sort of thing. And, you know, I'm not saying, oh, play to the trends, but I don't think it's dumb of Nintendo to think, or even Retro,
I mean,
be like,
they're trends for a reason, you know?
They gotta make money.
At the end of the day, they have to do what makes the most money, and I'm sure, you know, because this game has been in production for so long, it probably has cost them a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine that probably one of the reasons why they go this direction is so that they can capture as many, you know, casual audience as they can, you know, people that are maybe not familiar with Metroid. So it's easy, you know, for me to say like, oh, I know how Metroid works. I know how it plays. I've played this type of game so many times. But imagine you have never played like a Metroid game at all, because think about it, when the last Prime game was freaking
18
like
years ago.
18 years ago. They probably
were barely born.
Yeah, some people were barely born when the last Prime game was out. And I know, you know, Prime Remastered came out and stuff, but, you know, honestly, that was probably more for like the people that have already played it and, you know, are used to it.
Just wanted it on their Switch.
I mean, I'm sure they're yeah, they just want it on their Switch so they don't have to boot up their GameCube or Wii every time they want to play Prime 1, aka me. Yeah, guilty. But
well, you got to sympathize a little bit, because I think a lot of Zelda fans would say that they're kind of in a similar boat, because Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom are such big departures from traditional Zelda gameplay in every sense of the word. They're, you know, the first open world Zelda, you know, and all that, and there's a lot of elements that get left behind. You know, recently I was playing through Skyward Sword again on my Switch, and, you know, I'd played the game before, but playing it again after, you know, playing, you know, Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, there was a lot of stuff that I was like, man, I really miss this dungeon crawly stuff. I miss these, like, you know, puzzles that you don't really get a lot in Breath of the Wild. And I didn't dislike Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, but they're very different. They're very, very different from your traditional Zelda. But guess what? Most people in the world, that is like the #1 most played Zelda game is Breath of the Wild. There's so many people who'd never even touched a Nintendo system that have played Breath of the Wild for their first Zelda.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, like, I know people kind of meme about the Zelda cycle, but I remember when Skyward Sword came out, like I know it, reviews well, like I mean almost every Zelda game reviews well, but the general sentiment back in the
Oh, they
day
hated
was
it.
that it was kind of a oh, they hated it. It
Yeah,
was a disappointment. Probably because of the motion controls, if I,
yeah.
you know,
That's what they
most
fixed in the
likely,
Switch
but
version.
yeah. But like I think I imagine Nintendo wanted to do something different with Zelda because maybe they thought that people were already sick of the traditional Zelda formula, you
Yeah.
know? Like they because you had like before Skyward Sword, you had Twilight Princess, which is, another great Zelda game, but if you wanted to ask like its biggest haters what they didn't like about it, it was that it was just like another retread of another Zelda game, Ocarina of
I was gonna
Time.
say it was
Like it
basically like Ocarina of Time reboot, reboot
yeah,
by
and people just
remaster.
like I don't want to play, the same type of game. I want,
I don't want to play 3 dungeons
something.
and 7 temples again. Don't make me
Yeah,
do
like
it.
that. Yeah, exactly. Like and I mean, I guess going back to Prime 4, I guess it is. I can already tell, like even before Miles came
Sweet,
came
sweet
into our
Miles.
our thoughts and minds, that Prime 4 was gonna be yet another, departure from what we expect from the Prime games. Because even before this, I don't know if you saw, like people were raising hell over the bike
Yeah.
and
Well,
stuff.
it's funny because I only saw people saying it was really sick looking, but I'll tell you who was saying that on my timeline on Blue Sky was a bunch of people who have never touched a Prime game in their life. They were like, "Whoa, Samus has a bike. That's cool." Like they loved it.
Yeah, people like honestly, like I'll be honest, when that bike showed up the very first time, I was a little
Not
like
into it.
hesitant about I was like, this is kind of weird, but over time you're like, you know what? Bike is sick as hell. I don't care.
I want to ride on the bike.
Yeah, it's sick, man. And I don't know. I know like the these new characters that they're introducing are leaving a bad taste in people's mouths right now, but I guess at the end of the day, we don't know how this game is going to pan out yet. We don't know how involved they are going to be. We don't know, you know, how much they will affect the overall gameplay, um, or, how well their story will be told. Because, this is not the first time that Metroid has delved into these, like, more story driven type of games where they have a bunch of characters. Like, we'll go back to a Metro game that we haven't really talked about. Other M
Yeah.
famously tried to do something like that, and one of the biggest complaints about that is that it mischaracterized Samus so badly that people just didn't like
The game.
how they didn't like the game.
The
They didn't
story.
like how Samus was portrayed. They definitely didn't like the story
They
about
didn't
it.
like
It was
Remember Me.
oh, people loved that guy, but
The best part.
he was the best part, honestly. But
Well, the one
yeah,
clip
like
I have seen of sweet baby boy Miles, is he's talking to Samus and he's doing his Samus, we got it, and Samus doesn't say a fucking word to this guy.
yeah, I've seen. So like honestly,
That's
like I
canon.
don't. If my honest opinion is like, it's kind of funny, like having Samus, who's like this stoic, like silent character, having to deal with this yapper over here, and who's clearly way over his head. Like it's a funny dynamic. Like, is it cringe? Like, I guess. I mean,
A little
whatever.
bit.
But
But
but I mean, it's
it could work out well. Now, this does remind me. I recently, well, last year, I played the game Alien Isolation. I don't know if you've ever played that game, but it's based
I've
on.
not, but I do want to play it. Yeah.
It's good. So, one of the things about Alien Isolation, it's that's more of like a horror game. It's not there's a lot of exploration in it too. And there are moments in Alien Isolation, literally titled Alien Isolation, where you are around people or you're talking to people or there's other characters in the scene, and it doesn't ruin the tension or the feeling of being alone, because then there are long portions of the game where you are absolutely alone and it's really scary. So I'm hoping that with Metroid Prime 4, you do have these, like, obviously when you first land there, you're like with your crew or whatever who's helping you with whatever Samus is doing. And then, like, there's moments where you just don't see anyone for like a few hours and then you run into them again or something. Like, I would be totally fine with that. I think my biggest fear, which I'm trying not to spiral, I don't want like a comms guy, I don't want to be walking around and the guy in my ear is like, "Hey Samus, how's it going? Let me talk for 10 minutes while you walk around because I gotta like exposit something to you." Because that's in like every game now. I don't like it. I like to be talked to when I'm playing the game.
I get you. Yeah. And, I think there will be a possibility that, I don't know if these guys will chime in every so often, or if it's more of a, you can call them if you want to know anything or whatever, kind of like the Metal Gear Solid codec calls or whatever.
Well, that would be my choice, because like, what if you legitimately get stuck and like you can maybe call one of them and they don't tell you what to do, but they kind of give you a hint or something, and you can have like a funny interaction.
I honestly wouldn't mind that. Yeah.
But if they're talking in my ear too much, ooh, I'm gonna get you, Miles. You know what's gonna happen? Yeah. There's gonna be like a scene where Miles dies, like in a really dramatic and heroic way, and every journalist who wrote those bad things about him is gonna like write a eulogy and be like, "We're so sorry, Miles.
Yeah,
we weren't familiar with your game."
Gosh, this might be a slight spoiler, but I did kind of feel that way with Ethan in Resident Evil Village.
Yeah.
But
after all we've been through.
He's like, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry after everything.
Like,
well, here's my last, I guess, quandary, because it is kind of become a bit of a discourse now with this, a little bit of a worrying first look into Metroid Prime 4. I think a lot of people are definitely just like, it's over, we gotta go. But a big thing I've noticed, and I was kind of like tilting my head at it a little bit, was the insistence that Metroid as a series was a primarily horror series. And I was like, eh?
So
what do you think?
I can tell you the reason why they say that is probably based on the fact that there's been like some stuff where it's like the original Metroid was, inspired by the Alien series.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you could even say like Ridley kind of almost looks like a xenomorph.
Yeah, Loki he does.
I mean, yeah, I don't, I'm not disputing that, but, I guess that's probably where a lot of people kind of get that idea is a bit being horror based. And I guess also the fact with like Fusion and I guess Dread now, where you have sections where you have to like run away from an unkillable like monster or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of like that element in there too. But yeah, it does kind of give the Metroid series a not like completely accurate picture of what it does. Like, it can be a very isolationist and lonely and oppressive game for sure.
Yeah.
But like horror, like I don't know if Metroid ever tries to go explicitly horror.
It's not very gory of a series either.
No, it's not gory. Like, I mean, it's violent in certain ways, but it can be a bit like suspenseful and stuff like that. And a lot of the games deal with like, oh, you don't have your power-ups and you only have like these little weapons. You got to go out into the dangerous world and get your weapons back, whatever kind of thing.
Yeah.
But so like there's that. I don't know if I would like, because of all that, I would call it like a horror-based game,
Yeah,
I would
so
say.
it's got those
It's
elements
I
to
think it's
it.
first and foremost like a sci-fi action exploration game.
Yeah.
First and foremost, I would say.
Someone might even call it a Metroidvania. What do you think about that?
Are you like a Metroidvania?
Well, I
Yeah.
was kind of along the similar lines of thinking because I do think you can feel scared or tense playing a Metroid game. And I know I screamed every time an Emmy chased me, and I got real scared about that.
Yeah. I mean, I got freaked out when, the lights went out in the research lab in Prime 1 and Metroids were trying to kill me. Like that
Yeah.
was kind of scary, I guess. Like I get it.
But I think that is like coloring a lot of people's perception of this like new information because Prime 4 we still don't know a lot about it, and what we have seen is erring on the side of more of an actiony, more chummy kind of game so far. And I think that's like really like putting up red flags for people, and I think everyone just needs to take a moment, take a breath, and realize too that your favorite series, changing or doing stuff that you don't really like, you'll be okay because there are other games. There are other games that will scratch this itch, and I think people sometimes try way too hard to hold on to certain IPs rather than explore other art, if that makes sense. Have you ever played Bug Fables?
No, but I do know
What it
that it's
is.
kind of like a paper. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So I like Paper Mario a lot, and I really, really like Thousand Year Door. But I also really, really like Origami King. I like them both a lot.
Yeah,
And
me too.
before Origami, it was like that kind of weird moment for Paper Mario where everyone's like, "Is this series dead? Is it even gonna exist and be good anymore?" And Bug Fables came out, which was a game about bugs, but it was very, very obviously heavily inspired by the first two Paper Mario games, and like people loved it because of that. But it also added a bunch of new stuff. It was like a whole new beast. But I remember telling a friend about it, a friend who was also like is a really big like Paper Mario head. Like I only like the first two kind of Paper Mario head, and I was like, well, you should try Bug Fables because like that's the game you want to play. Is like you want to play a game like this. And I shit you not, they were like, I wonder if there's a mod that turns the characters into Mario characters. I'm like,
Oh my
let
god.
it go. Like I wanted to be, I just let it go, okay?
Speaking of which, there's also a a bug-based Metroidvania game if you wanted to try that out.
Oh, really?
There's two of them actually.
Finally. Well, you've played a lot of games that are like either inspired by or Metroid has been inspired by, like System Shock and all those kinds of games, right?
Yes.
So there are games like what people want out there.
Yeah, there are. Yeah. Like I know like I'll always love Metroid and, despite whatever direction they ever want to put these games, like I'm always down to see what they want to bring out, whether I like it or not. But yeah, I think it's important to realize like there are of such a variety of games that you probably don't even know are out there that probably you would like too, just based off of, previous series that you've grown attached to, and you shouldn't be afraid to try them out.
Yeah, while you're waiting for the next Pikmin game, play Hotel Transylvania 3 for the Wii. It's basically the same thing. So
Oh my god.
I'm not even lying. It's a Pikmin game. I'm not
Do it.
kidding.
Is it? What?
It is. I'll show you a video later.
Honestly, I'm kind of shocked that there's anything like Pikmin. And it's a freaking movie game.
So I know I said that was going to be my last question, but as we were wrapping up, Metroid Prime 4 comes out so soon. What if I come to you, Mr. Precision, and I'm like, bro, I've never played Metroid Prime, but I'm going to buy Metroid Prime 4 and I'm going to play it. What do I need to know story-wise going in? Or can I just totally freeball it? Can I just get in there?
honestly, you can just probably start with Prime 4. You don't need to play Prime, even though I would recommend playing it because it's a great game. But story-wise, it's not going to be related to the first three Prime games. Those Prime games had its own contained story that essentially concluded at the end of Prime 3. So
But
you're
bro,
good to go.
where did Silex come from?
Oh, well, if you really want to know where Silex comes from, do you have an old DS that your older sibling forgot about a long time ago?
Yeah, I keep it in my junk drawer. Let me fish it out.
Yeah, yeah, go get
I
that. Yeah.
have it. What do I do?
Okay, well, in that junk drawer, did you happen to see a game called Metroid Prime Hunters?
Whoa, this is the one with the not Samus characters in it.
I know, there's more characters than Samus in it. It's crazy. There's actually like a bunch of bounty hunters. It's not just Psylux. But they just like Psylux for whatever reason.
So he's gonna be like the main bad guy of Prime 4 or something, and like he's like a nothing burger character.
Like, okay, I think Retro had plans to flesh out his story at some. I know, okay. Do you know this other Metroid game that no one liked either called Metroid Prime Federation Force?
Yeah, I do actually. Let me get out my was it on 3DS or something?
That's on the 3DS. I
Yeah.
don't think you need to dig too deep in for that one, but
Yeah. So I think
yeah,
I agree though. Jump in to Metroid Prime 4 because I think anything that is like you would need to know is probably just gonna be told to you. I'm gonna be frank.
yeah,
They're probably just gonna tell you like, and also you're a smart kid. You'll figure it out. It's
you'll
not-
figure. Like, look, they did the same thing with Dread, and that's like the fifth Metroid game in like the storyline wise, and they basically just recapped everything for you.
It'll,
It's
it'll
gonna be fine.
it's gonna be fine. Enjoy it. I know I will be enjoying it after I get home from my vacation, which I will be on while the game is coming out.
I know, sad.
So I think that if you like sci-fi, if you like action, if you've always like looked at Samus while you've been playing Smash Brothers, and you're like, she seems like a cool lady, you should pick it up. I mean, add it to your Switch 2 library. Is it also coming out on Switch 1? Or is it just the Switch?
It is.
Don't get it on
Yeah,
Switch
coming
1.
on.
Don't get it on Switch
No,
1.
if you
Come
want
on.
the full experience, you gotta get the mouse controls, the
Oh, I'm so looking
60
forward to that.
FPS.
I hope that's smooth. I'm so down
Oh,
for
yeah.
mouse controls, freaking Metroid Prime. That's gonna be so awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking with me, a Metroid noob. You know, very cash Metroid guy over here. I feel very enlightened, and I feel more hopeful. I feel like everyone was getting me down. They're trying to tell me that Miles was going to ruin the game, and now I kind of like Miles.
Yeah, we could all love Miles. Mission accomplished.
But thank you. I will end the video now. Bye.